Hi everybody! For my public history project, I decided to explore how monuments have shaped national identity and public memory across Canada and the United States. Instead of writing a paper or creating a slideshow, I thought it would be interesting to make a series of Instagram reels where each post focuses on a different monument and the narratives attached to it. I also had the intention of looking at how the monuments don't just represent history but rather actively influence how I remember it. I'm now going to show you my first reel, which is on the CN Tower, and I'll see you after. The CN Tower wasn't just built for tourists, but rather it was a nation-building project. In the early 1970s, Canada was overshadowed by American-owned communication systems. The federal government backed major infrastructure projects to assert technological advancement and independence. When the CN Tower eventually opened in 1976, it became the tallest freestanding structure in the world. It stands today as a cultural symbol that is often featured in major national celebrations, as well as global representations of Canada. Okay, I hope you enjoyed. That was my first post about the CN Tower. I chose this not because it is a typical monument, but rather because it functions as one, even though it is considered to be a piece of infrastructure. It's something a lot of people recognize visually before they know anything else about its purpose or origins. And what drew me to this was how something that was originally built for telecommunication became a huge national symbol for Canada and is majorly used in branding, tourism, and is an international icon. Rather than asking what the CN Tower commemorates, I took a deeper look at how it communicates a narrative of progress and Canadian national pride. Christopher Columbus statues helped transform a historical figure into a national myth. Most of the statues were installed in the late 1800s and early 1900s, at a period where the United States was shaping their national identity. The statues became symbols of national pride for Italian-American communities who used Columbus as a figure of belonging in a country that often excluded them. In recent years, statues in cities like Baltimore, Boston, and Chicago have been vandalized and are removed and replaced. Today, the statues stand at the center of debates about whose histories we commemorate in public spaces and whose stories have been left behind. Hi again, what you just saw was my second Instagram reel. I looked at Columbus statues all over the United States, more specifically the ones that have been vandalized or removed. Rather than focusing on Columbus himself, I wanted to look at why these statues were built to begin with. Many were installed during periods when immigrant groups, especially Italian Americans, were trying to assert some belonging in the United States. Columbus as a historical figure is often tied to colonial violence, and his statue served as a very different social function. What is happening to the statues now is a public reevaluation of whose history should be prioritized and whether the commemoration of a public figure should rely on national myths. Red Dress Day isn't a traditional monument. It's a living memorial to missing and murdered Indigenous women, girls, and Two-Spirit people. It began as a community-led movement using empty red dresses displayed in public spaces to represent lives lost to colonial violence. Unlike permanent bronze statues, these installations appear through marches, vigils, and art displays across cities like Winnipeg, Thunder Bay, Vancouver, and Halifax. These memorials don't just commemorate loss, they demand visibility and accountability for ongoing violence against Indigenous women and girls in Canada. So close to the end. That was my final reel about the Red Dress Day memorials all across Canada. The Red Dress Day memorials focus on missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls and Two-Spirit people. This is a major contrast from the last two because the point isn't celebration or national identity, it's visibility and accountability. Instead of memorials that glorify a past event, these are living symbols that respond to an ongoing colonial harm. I was very interested in seeing how absence was symbolic. The empty dresses represent people who should still be here and shifts the role of monuments from telling a triumphant story to opening space for grief and activism. Putting all these monuments together, I wanted to highlight that monuments aren't neutral. They reflect who hold cultural power, what stories we tell, and what we choose to forget. Some reinforce stale narratives, a lot are challenged or rejected, and others are created to address erasure. The meaning of a monument can change just based on who's interpreting it. Using Instagram also became a big part of the project, obviously. I had to think about how people engage with history casually, scrolling, liking, reacting, rather than in a classroom or museum setting. It made me consider how public history can function in digital spaces where visuals and brevity shape how narratives are consumed. In some ways, posting these monuments online creates a second layer of public memory and creates a space where discourse can happen online. Overall, my project shows that monuments aren't just representations of the past, they are ongoing conversations about identity, power, and memory, whether that means they're celebrated, contested, or used to demand justice. Thank you so much for watching. This was really fun to make, and I can't wait to see what everybody else created. Please don't forget to check out my Instagram. There's a QR code right on the corner of the screen. Thank you so much for watching once again, and have a great day. What? I already fucked up. I'm gonna actually just been vandalized or removed. Saw were